Hello, I'm Peter Blackwood of the Icon Diary. I've been painting an icon of Benedict of Nursia.
In this video I want to show how I painted his face. Started with this pencil sketch and then translated that onto my gessoed panel, and with water and a yellow pigment and a hog hair brush just roughed in the shape. Then adding egg tempera to the pigment and using a number 3 Kolinsky brush made the form of the face and the rest of the icon a little more secure, much easier to see once you add egg. This demonstration is showing at 4 times normal speed. Makes it look much easier. In a former video I show a lot of this in normal speed. Now I have made quite a dilute mix of raw umber green, and this is mixed with egg tempera, but it's very pale. I'm going to work up this face virtually in monochrome using the burnt umber green, and after I've done this very light version, I'll add a little bit more of the pigment to the mixture to make it a little bit darker. I'm working from the sketch that I did originally. It's an original sketch, so I don't have any other model apart from the sketch that I drew in the first place. I'm using a very fine brush now, number 2, and or is it a 0? And even more raw umber green in the mix, making the fine features even darker. And darker still, just moulding this face more and more. Return to the number 3 brush, get some of those darker tones on. Little hole appeared there. still all raw umber green, but different tones from very pale to very dark. And now we're putting on the flesh tone. This is a mixture of golden ochre, a little bit of Ercolano red, and a little bit of the raw umber green. So there have been multiple coats of that mixture going over the whole lot. Not paying too much attention to the edges. But now I've started on the highlights, and I've added to that same mixture that formed the base of the flesh tones some titanium white. So progressively I'll be adding titanium white, although in the first instance it's just waiting for the undercoat to dry and then using the same mix, putting another coat without adding any more white. But as this process goes on, there'll be more titanium white added. There's a bit more white added there. Still using the number 3 brush. And getting it to blend. The idea of being able to see the coat underneath. The titanium white does make the whole image look somewhat chalky, and so there comes a time when we need to go back to the original mixture and put on a glaze, which I've done there. Didn't see it, did we? And it just puts some chroma back into the highlights. This is using a finer brush. There's the 3 back again, but for the small details. Now there's a glaze going over the whole lot. This puts a bit more flesh colour back. The whites of the eyes going in with a small brush. Not pure white, there's a bit of the green added to that. But then the eyebrows are going in. This is in Mars Black. So for the eyebrows and for the pupil of the eye, Mars Black and a very fine brush. Now with a burnt umber, putting in some of the finer details, the top eyelid, the iris of the eye, getting them under the nose and the line between the lips. This is Ercolano red, a line above the crease on the upper eyelid and down the side of the nose, and a dab on the lips. Now with titanium white on its own, putting in the beard. The first coat we won't cover, even though it's very strong. It's not going to be pure white, which I'm pleased about. Just leave some of that colour underneath, being careful to leave a point of the lines between the strands of beard and moustache. It's done with a number 2 brush, and the Kolinsky brush works from a point, and you can lean on it and then return to a point in the same stroke. So also we're doing this all very dry, so wiping off the brush very thoroughly each time it's loaded, which gives a lot more control. Get great blobs of stray paint dropping onto the icon. Also working on an easel. Many iconographers work on with their panel flat on a table. So I stand at an easel, better for posture. This second coat is giving more coverage, but I'm not covering everything. I'm still leaving a few bits where you can see the more translucent white underneath. With a mixture of the flesh tone and a bit of the mixture that we used in the first instance of the raw umber green, just going back over the lines between the strands of beard and moustache, just to give a bit more definition. With a mixture of Ercolano red with water, just getting a bit of blush, and there we have the face.